Hi guys, I have done a few short videos about liberation and bondage, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it at length. Ultimately, when we are seeking any form of recompense, redress, restitution, a form of awakening, a spiritual path, and manifestation, law of attraction, all of these lovely, lovely tools that we've got out there and that are easily accessible to us, what are we ultimately seeking? The freedom. We are ultimately seeking freedom from bondage. We are ultimately seeking liberation from bondage. But what exactly is this bondage? The situations that we are in? Or is it how those situations make us feel? Okay. So if it is how the situations make us feel, right? Where did that feeling come from originally? Who planted that feeling inside? What was the first moment that I experienced such a feeling? Something like anxiety, you might have experienced it as a child. And you, if you're a parent or your parents, may have not done it intentionally. It is just what happened and what you took on as the first experience of this negative, sorry, not even a negative, that's, beg your pardon, of this uncomfortable emotion or this feeling. And then that says, aha, okay, so in my life map, anxiety is to be expected, right? Then you might go through other points in your life of pain. You may have other life situations that show you the not so great side of humanity, a little bit of an ugly side of humanity, and then you think, okay, maybe that's the way relationships are meant to be. Maybe that's the way things are meant to be. So you may not attract the same situation back to you, but it will have sat inside of you, become your map somewhere. And your life trajectory will always reflect back to you these little implants. So when we say we're not our past or we're trying to break free from our past, it is not that we're trying to break free from what happened to us. We're trying to break free from the effect. We're trying to break free from that emotion that was planted inside of us so that it then potentially gets triggered by other situations around us, because we call upon those triggers to us because we want to reconfirm that that's how life ought to be. So what are we right now is that we are bonded to these impressions, right, that have become us. They have become our life trajectory, except that we know now, or we want to know, that no, I'm not bonded to my impression, right? I am not that. I know that I'm beyond that. So all of these impressions go and sit in different parts of our body. They might manifest as ailments, diseases. They just go and sit, right? Because it's energy. It needs a little house somewhere. Or it might come out as you're a very angry person, and we might end up going and doing different things. But all of these things go and sit somewhere in our psyche, energy, everywhere. How do we then release ourselves from this bondage? We release ourselves from this bondage by first understanding and realizing that we are indeed in bondage, right? Because all this time, if you believe that it's the life situation that is making me feel this way, or that no, you said this, no, he said that, no, it shouldn't have happened, look what happened to me, right? If your way of life is going to be like that, that you simply blame everyone and everything and every situation on the outside of you for how you're feeling, that will have to change. So that one finger pointing out will have to be curled in. Everything will have to point back here. Every discomfort that you feel is here. So when you get into that habit of saying, no, this is me, I've got this, I am in charge, not my impression, not what happened. And the amazing thing is, with our memory as well, the impressions that situations and life events leave on us, in fact, the exact situations, the exact event or the unfolding of that event will have gone. And what is left is this, the impression of it, which is deeply rooted inside of us. Yeah. So it's to disassociate yourself from that, to accept on the gross level, yeah, this happened, that happened, and then to work through that emotion and literally say, I'm not this emotion. Come on. How can I own this? I'm not the person who mapped out anger or anxiety for me. Okay, so my mom was very stressed out and she was having a hard time. I'm not her. I'm not her stress. And I'm not the reason why she was doing that. Or maybe my dad. No. Yeah, he used to come back home drunk and hit my mother and do all those things. That was their problem. And yes, I know as a kid I got impressed with all of that. But no, I'm not going to attract that into my life because I'm a different person. So when you're on a spiritual path, you're on a spiritual awakening journey, and indeed if you have gone through a Kundalini awakening, with a Kundalini awakening, it's almost like you won't have a choice but to remove all of these impressions because you want to get to your highest potential, right? And you're not going to be able to access other dimensions and other potentials unless you're able to get this out. So that is when you're going through these moments of anger, anxiety, you're going through, I don't have any money, why are we always poor? So all of these impressions that you've built in from the past, right? And that's where something might click and you might say, I want money. Why are we always poor? Okay. And this is where you might want to start to manifest something. You might learn about the law of attraction. You might learn about other laws. You might be on the path of bhakti and then suddenly you're on the path of bhakti and then you say, if you're following Shirdi Sai Baba, for example, and you say, oh, Baba, but why are you doing this to me? Why have I got all these problems all of a sudden? Why is the path of bhakti so thorny? Why is the devotional path so thorny? Why is it that rather than our paths and lives getting easier, that as soon as we want to ascend, as soon as we get onto this spiritual chariot, if anything, we get all of our problems coming together and we get all of these sudden life situations that we have to deal with, because it's a reenaction of every impression that you have so that it can be taken out. Yeah, so nobody's punishing you. It's what is being brought to light or to the fore is, let me show you where your bond is. Let me show you where your bondage is. And this is what the Hindus, what karma is. So karma is that result of that imprint. That imprint itself is the karma, right? How that action or non-action is what is left of it is the karma. And that's what the bondage is all about. Bondage can only be released with an incessant desire for you to be liberated. Why do we desire to be liberated? Because our true nature itself is always liberated. We are never our nature is not to be bonded. Our nature is not for us to be in bondage. And because we crave not to be bonded, in that bondage, is testament to the fact that indeed our nature is freedom. Our nature is abundance. Our nature is to be completely, absolutely, totally joy. That's our nature. When we are full, joy, abound, boundless, right? And we have nothing that is holding us. We have nothing that's holding us back. whether it's here, whether it's here, anywhere. Nothing holds you back. You bring the joy that there was in this little child that you were back. Yeah, and that is the essence of why we crave liberation, because we are always liberation. All we need to do is remove the bondage, and you will experience what you already are here, which is absolute liberation. Don't forget to subscribe. Lots of love.